come back, otherwise we are running out of time. Babize bonke. Uyabona ke bayacotha bazofuna uhamba emva kokho. Yo. Let's make a start, colleagues. Can you call any of your colleagues who are still standing outside? I'm not restarting this on an empty house. Colleagues, let's make a start. Basiqhubeni madoda. Thank you. Thank you.
Ongabaphandle phabizeni, ongabaphandle bangene phakathi, ongabaphandle phabizeni, ongabaphandle bangene phakathi, yolindlela ivuliwe. Yolindlela bangene phakathi, yolindlela ivuliwe, yolindlela bangene phakathi, ongabaphandle babizeni, ongabaphandle bangene phakathi. Ongabaphandle babizeni, ongabaphandle bangene phakathi, yolindlela ivuliwe, yolindlela bangene phakathi, yolindlela ivuliwe, yolindlela bangene phakathi, ongabaphandle babizeni, ongabaphandle masingene bangene phakathi, ongabaphandle babizeni, ongabaphandle bangene phakathi, yolindlela ivuliwe, yolindlela bangene phakathi, yolindlela ivuliwe, yolindlela bangene phakathi, bangene phakathi, bangene phakathi, yolindlela iyolindlela 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 bangene phakathi bangene phakathi dithi iyolindlela 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 dithi bonke abaphandle babizeni bonke abaphandle bangene phakathi bonke abaphandle babizeni bonke abaphandle bangene phakathi iyolindlela 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 bonke abaphandle babizeni bonke abaphandle bangene phakathi bonke abaphandle babizeni bonke abaphandle bangene phakathi.
Tena. Colleagues, let's make a start. We are going to have 2 sessions now in terms of speakers, and then we are done. We are going to give Dr. Lekgutla some few minutes to reflect before we have a summary of recommendations and closure. So, Eric Kupenahle, so that we start with you, and then we will finish it off after that.
Thank you very much. I think the song was very inspiring. It summarizes the proceedings and provides energy for us going forward. By way of just reflection, without giving accolades to the session, I've attended 34 cabinet makgotla in my life. And there have been those I get invited to in provinces. But this, for me, seems to be taking the cake in terms of all those makgotla. I'll tell you, I still have to find out, and we have to find out why that is the case. One, there are things that are just coming together organically without being forced. If you look at the recommendations that come from the commissions, they are very, very organic. And they tap into other stakeholders that might not be even with us here. The idea of a district development model comes very naturally. It's not something that has to be thought hard about. Transport, agriculture, and everything come very, very organically. And I think what makes that unique is you are focusing on the child. And when you are focusing on the child, you are focusing on the future, 60 years from now, 70 years from now. And also yourselves are the people who mold and build that child. Those attributes are very, very unique and are unique to teachers, not even to nurses. who deliver children, but to teachers, because they look at these people through time, which suggests to us that this model is exportable across government. So whatever we are doing here, yes, it's for Eastern Cape, 350 schools for now. But it is not about the 350 schools. It's about something much bigger and much more audacious. For me, that's what is my takeaway from here. Now here, I was with Nelson Mandela. Here, this is the slide that created problems for me with the people in Silvertown, where they said I am powerful. And I should go, and they saw me with Nelson Mandela. This was 2011, on the 22nd of October, and he was reading newspapers. That newspaper had Gaddafi's blood all over. And he was really angry at what had happened to Gaddafi. Here, it was 1998 when we were releasing the results of the census, and this is what he had to say about education.
But what is the position with the blacks in this country, with Africans, coloreds, and Indians? In most cases, they were excluded from schools. To say even less of tertiary education, because you did not have the facilities. You could not go to the best schools in the country, which are well equipped to enable you to grasp sophisticated concepts fully. And the environment between the school and the home was totally different. You come to parents, some of whom have never seen the inside of a school.
So this is myself there, if you wondered who is standing behind on the side. So what is the table of contents? I'll try and go very quickly through this. I'm not going to read the slides, but I'm just going to talk about the process of consolidating what we have seen here into a strategic thrust of things that we could be looking at in the report. The main thing really is about how we deal with purpose. And in thinking about purpose, we have got to think about systems. And here we are talking about constitutional enjoyment that translates into socially desirable goals, but deploying a politically compelling and economically feasible agenda that legally delivers services to communities. And there you see needs that are socially desirable, resources point, economically feasible, execution delivered legally, and society-wide, politically mobilizing. The intersection of those four circles, which doesn't show the intersection, but you can imagine the intersection is somewhere there, right in the middle of this Venn diagram. It's where the sweet spots that this process is trying to bring through together, so that it is socially desirable, we know it is economically feasible, it is politically mobilizing, and we deliver it. In terms of remembering the dismembered King Hinsa, 1789 and 1935, his skull was brought recently to the Eastern Cape. That is recently, it means 20 years ago. But we have to reclaim these things. They have to be reclaimed so that we memorialize our pain. So that the people from this province who went and dug diamond in the Northern Cape will remember that big hole which has remained with just water, and then emptiness in the Eastern Cape itself. It's in the Northern Cape, that's the big hole. The stalwarts, the Rivonia trial, the burial of Madiba being returned to his place of birth, and in Kunu, this was his funeral here. And then, of course, we have to look at multidimensional poverty index. And in that multidimensional poverty index, the components of that is health, education, and we are talking about education and deprivation of all kinds. as monitoring instruments for whether what we are trying to do has succeeded or not. And we have seen that the multidimensional poverty was declining, and this is the data that we are showing about Msinga. But when you think about Msinga Yetu in the Eastern Cape, it declined and then reversed. And this is where the poverty is in the Eastern Cape, and we will show the 10 most deprived. A number of them are in the Eastern Cape, and Msinga Yetu declined, or rather, poverty declined but reversed. And these are the places where they're talking about in the West and the East, you can see. I tried to pronounce number 10, and Shodozi laughed. I think I pronounced it something. So he laughed. I'm not going to try. But what was happening is that when you look at access to water, water couldn't be pumped up there because of the elevation. And part of the issues that Arul will show is that spatial is very important, but also not only spatial, it's not flat, it has elevation, and in the Eastern Cape, these elevations create additional beauty, great beauty, but additional barriers to things like access. So this is how the multidimensional poverty is, and these are the things that we have to use as tools to see whether our efforts, and answer the question, how will our efforts lead to the reduction of poverty? So that we have future-proof. Without future-proof, and future-proof that we can say, when we have done this, in terms of modeling, this is our future-proof. Unfortunately, in this country, we don't have future-proof. We thumb sag and say it will be that way and that way. We have full proof after the fact that we can only grow at 1%. So our plans, and then of course this slide shows the waste that we go into. The bedroom is very busy. 1.2 million children are born every year, and only 600,000 will go and write matric, and only 200,000 will go somewhere else. So the other million are the ones that we try to build high walls against, so that they don't come and kill us. That's the problem, and so we have to ask the question: what do we owe each other? What we owe each other as a people, when people are young here, expenditure goes into education and health. When we come up here, we start working and we contribute into our pensions. One of the most disastrous things is this two-pot system. If you go and borrow that money, you are going to retire poor. You are guaranteed that. Yet government wants you to do that. Allows it, and they say the trade union wants it. They say, look, no child refuses candy. No child refuses candy. So as government, don't give candy because, and also don't treat people like children. So this whole thing around pensions and how they get used, it's anti-development. And it's counter what we are discussing here. So this, that we are discussing will be futile if we agree to policies that don't make sense. So I retired on 3/3. That's the 3-pot is my 3-pot. I didn't take a third. But you can see, if I lift my foot, you'll see that there's a hole underneath my shoe. So what is important is to think about purpose and look at Amartya Sen's purpose capability approach. The representative from the Premier's office talked about Amartya Sen. And in that, it's basically looking at the means to achieve, the freedom to achieve and achievement, defining what achievement is. And the inputs that we have been making here actually move towards defining what is the character of achievement. Yes, we are talking about 350 schools or 400 schools, but the general principle that we are driving here is so fundamental and so profound that it changes the situation. It changes the existing system. This is where your work is very, very exciting. So the vector of goods and services, we start with this one vector. What is that one vector of achievement that is anchored in the ability to have personal preferences so that I can take whiskey, single malt, 20 years, and the other one can take... now all of us are forced to take Mkomboti. So there are no preferences. You can't make preferences. You don't have choices. Because these capabilities are not there. These 800,000 children don't have these capabilities. Vectors of potential functionings. And you as teachers are creating the conditions for these vectors of potential functionings. And therefore, we are discussing the personal, the social, and the environmental conversion factors and want to change those. This is the essence of what you are talking about. And this is being spoken about at age 0. We're talking about children. And as they progress through life, how are these personal and social environmental factors going to change? Oh, this thing doesn't show there. I remember yesterday. So I think one of the things that we are missing, that is in all the slides we have been talking about, is a learner-centric solution. We are talking about ourselves and that, but we are not asking the children their environment and their concept of the environment. That is where we really need to look at what is happening in the life of the child and how are they interpreting that. The presenter who was saying, what is this thing that we talked about that the children can ask the questions? You said it is reading the brain. You had a good word for it. I've forgotten it. Inclinations. Now, as part and parcel of that, you've got to ask children, how have you experienced the transport? How have you experienced the feeding scheme? How have you experienced your environment at home? Was there somebody ill? What have you? When we ran that kind of instrument, we saw that children who are going to write matric, 57% of them didn't have food. Can you expect them to pass matric? They can't. So when you inquire and get a 360 degree of inclinations, I like the word inclinations, it's very beautiful. Then we can understand that which we are dealing with. We have to put the child at the center. Not only put that child at the center, but understand what is happening around them. So, transport learner, we've got to understand that. I've shown you this yesterday. I don't have to talk about it, but you've got to ask children time taken to school, favorite subjects. We saw that children like mathematics, but we destroy them and make them not like mathematics to fear it. So, what we think we'll be doing is really to look at a fishbone, collect the information that has been suggested, put it in a framework that translates and understands what this is. And then we look at the whys, root cause analysis. We got to do at what, who, when in terms of execution. We have to look at the results, the standard and the approval of that. And then, of course, we'll have done external environment using the pastel. And there are things that, as we look at here, we could look at a prescriptive approach, which is really strategy. Strategy means prescriptive approach, having looked at the fishbone analysis. And then, of course, the prescriptive approach is really long-term. We'll also look at an emergent approach, which is short-term. We've got to look at that. What are the short-term things? And then the prescriptive approach will bring in all these things that have implications that I've said are very exciting for a nation. And of course, the pastel analysis, the micro, macro, political, and so on. And then what are the 4 links model, informal cooperative, formal cooperative links, complementers, and governance links and networks? How do we move in there? I'm just showing this as, and then the strengths, the SWOT analysis. You have already presented here on the SWOT. It's there. It's a matter of looking at it. And then, of course, looking at how we look at opportunities on the strength strategies and opportunities on the weakness strategies. And I think with that, you really, for me, this is the best Cabinet Lekgotla I have attended. Thank you very much. Aru,
Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you very much, Paddy. I'll be very quick. What we're going to show is the role of data and the spatial analysis. There was a lot of reference in the reports from the commissions on data. I'm just going to start by, I think that's the right one. We got the schools and the latitude, longitude, and we geocoded. When I geocoded, then you can point them, put them as dots on there. We need to help you because some of the schools ended up in the ocean, so we need to correct those latitude, longitudes. But what the software does, and a lot of the software are free software, so you can use it even in your offices, is that it takes your Excel spreadsheets and put it into the shapefile. So all the data that you've got in Excel comes into the software. And then you can then look at the different things. Now, in this particular case, I've increased the size of the circle of the school to show. So if you go back, that was the schools. And now when you, by learners, so the bigger the circle, the more learners in the school. So you get a better picture of the area or the district of where the large schools are, large learners, and where the very small schools are. And then what you're able to do is, of course, you can put labels. And then you can do pie charts, which then show the ratio between teachers and learners for the different schools. So what I'm pointing out is that all the information that you have, you can then put on a map and get a better understanding, a better picture. And then you can then overlay it with subplace and EAs. This is a statistician's EA, enumeration area, not educational assistant. So you can get the data. I've just taken one subplace and looked at that. And then the census data, updated data for each of these subplaces. And we can even go into the EA level. The country is broken down into 100,000 pieces of land with about 100 to 150 households. And that's the EA data, that's the level. So when you are doing your planning, you can also see what the community looks like around the school that you're planning to close. And of course, we can, again, map it that way. And then, this is the interesting part that will help you. We can put this on the terrain, so you can see the terrain. The HOD spoke about the police station 1 kilometer away, so we can lay the pipes. We can put the pipes, the sewer pipes or the water pipes on the map and show the location of the school to see what needs to be done to get water or sewer to that particular school. So you could, again, use it in all your planning in all the districts. And then I've also put this in because you close a particular school and then there's a feeder area. You don't send all the children to one school. People who live in point X will then come to the school in the bottom, and people who live Y will go in there. So again, space will give you that opportunity or spatial analysis to make these kind of decisions. And of course, when I say this also, someone said to me, yeah, but the parents also decide where the child goes. And then the closeness of the schools. When you look at it, the way we're coming from our history, we find that lots of times schools are neighboring each other or very close to each other, and then on a spatial map, you get a much clearer picture. And again, yeah, this is the terrain. And then I just looked at some lessons learned from other parts of the world. As you are closing schools, Detroit closed 252 schools in that area, and they did what was called a hotspot analysis. And the hotspot, the red areas, were the way they closed the schools, they found that was the poor area, high crime, and predominantly African and Latino people that were living there. And the blue hotspots were more, it was bigger schools and more affluent communities. So we could also look at some kind of hotspot analysis for the Eastern Cape. And then here again, you see the statistical confidence, 90% or 95% or 99% going through. And the US uses the zip codes, we use the EAs and the subplaces. And then I thought I'll conclude with this diagram, the tree diagram that is coming out through here. When you look at it on the left, your left, the diagram, you ask the questions. And if the question is no, you keep the school open. So as you ask these questions, you have a list of questions, and each time you answer yes to the question, you go to the next question, and then you go to the next question. And when you've answered yes to all the questions, then you close the school. And I think what needs to come out is a lot of these questions came out from the commissions. So you put this list of questions in this kind of decision tree, and you keep asking the questions. And if you say no, then you keep the school open. But if you say yes, you go to the next question and the next question until you finally come to the conclusion that you close the school. And these were the two sets of questions. In this particular case, there were 8 groups of questions that you could ask and you could go through. In the interest of time, I want to stop here, but just to say that we are available even online if you're particularly interested in the software, or you want some training, or you want to know more information, then we can even offer it to you online because of technology.
We wanted to see the yellow suit ladies.
I should think, Didi Jim Kidd, I have heard, is that right? Colleagues, just jokes besides, I should think the most important aspect of the work that we do is that we don't develop analytical tools or analysis or tools of analysis. I should think in the main, we end up with or PowerPoint presentation or Excel words, your Microsoft packages. And out there in the market, I think there's a lot of software and apps that we can use to analyze this information. Mr. Mfenyana will tell you, at some point we did some work with GTech, where they did a geospatial analysis of schools when we were doing circuit landscapes, And I was impressed with how they were able to draw schools and show us, relative to one another, where the schools was outlaid, in a specific geographic area, which this reminds me that we need to go back to that. As a result, I was going to ask Mr. Joseph, to get in contact so that we can, get closer to it. The reason I'm interested, I'm the head of curriculum in the department. One of those things that have to do with curriculum decisions in the district, sometimes they remain obscure. You do not know how people made choices in terms of streams. And at head office, we just approve, We want to, so at times you might be able to calibrate information based on application of data in a software, then it gives you concentration of curriculum streams in a circuit, And if it says it's a repetition of the same curriculum, then we're able to make decisions around those. So I really appreciate, colleagues, what you've presented. It's going to be very important. And also the planning tool, pulling together all of this information into a shape, Mr. Joseph will take it up. Colleagues, a round of applause. Can I give the House 1 or 2 minutes on the commissions? If you want to raise something on the commissions, it's not going to be a long thing. And then we'll hand over to Mr. Joseph to summarize on the key recommendations. Or do you want to do it after Mr. Joseph? Because I wanted Mr. Joseph to close it off. Any comments? I will take from my far left. Zozo. Second row. Third row. Fourth row, Mamnokasa. Fifth row. Sixth row. Gone. Seventh row. Gone. Eighth row. Last row. Mamnokas, can I hand over to you? Here's the mic. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good afternoon to all the commissioners in the plenary. My interest is on the side of policies because I am the custodian of the departmental policies. I have gone through the documents that have been shared by Mr. Venyan. We have the national guidelines, which I think they are obsolete because they were developed in 2018. And it said on the review part, they will be reviewed periodically. Have we checked if those guidelines have been reviewed? Number two, we have the provincial policy that was also developed in 2018. I assume that was based on the DBE guidelines, but it was not signed. It was developed during the Mr. Kojana's era, may his soul rest in peace. So it means we do not have the policy, given that we have a finding, a repeat finding on policies as the Department of Education. So it means we don't have a policy. Number three, I have gone through the SOP. It was developed, but it was not signed by the HOD as well, and the authors are not reflected on the SOP. And one other thing that we need to add on the policy now as we review it, we need to add the issue of repurposing, because it is silent on that. We only covered the other strands, excluding repurposing. So let's develop a policy that will be all-encompassing, and then we'll be good to go.
Okay, thank you. Uyavukela.
Thank you, Chairperson. The issue that I want to raise here is the issue of overcrowding in our schools. That's the issue I want to raise. The policy is clear as to a high school must have a maximum of this number, primary this number. When I looked in the presentation, there were schools which are more than the number required. I understand at times because principals of schools get more salary because of posts in their schools. Now your P4 schools, P5 schools have got big numbers of learners. But that then compromises our teaching, our learner outputs or performance in essence. The question is then, what do we do? Do we let things slip as it is, or do we have a way of arresting that so that it doesn't go beyond the carrying capacity of a school as? It's a conundrum that we need to look at as a department. For instance, I'll make an example. Bishop High, Bishop Primary, another primary which is there in Bishop, the Snago, they are overflowing. But there are primaries around there that are really having very few number of learners. That issue. Another issue that I want to raise maybe is the issue that was raised of security and vandalism. That is important because we're saying that now maybe the question is, how do we ensure IJR does work? Because if you are going to be able to work with the police, SAPS, and municipalities, we're able to ensure that our buildings are secured enough so that we don't find ourselves having to rebuild what was there before. But it means now we strengthen that. It means something has to be done. Enkosi kakhulu, Eskom.
Colleagues, I should think the purpose of this gathering is to unearth all of these issues. And we are saying to IOM branch, here are the issues coming up. There's no talk about resolution of this meeting, but it's issues that came out. And we want them to be captured and be shared with all stakeholders. Then the next step that is going to be very important is the document that states how do we take forward all of these issues that were raised. Now, Joseph, I want you to give us Umkombandlela. You know Umkombandlela? Is this sum total of issues that were raised? Then after that, Mr. Mchida is going to close to give us a way forward. Sache?
So I must do, Komondela one. Yeah, let me try to do that. Thank you, colleagues. Please don't pray to God now. Give me 5 minutes. Then after that, you can pray to God. Thank you, colleagues, for this wonderful occasions. I'm not going to repeat all the presenters what they have presented here, but you have heard about it, and we captured well, in essence, all the presentations, colleagues. Then DDG's presentation, there we talked about the scholar transport, the hostel facilities, the planning, and stakeholder engagement, and migration. Those are the issues we discussed. Then the Office of the Executive Mayor also talked about based on the theme. Then also looking at the Office of the Premier is also talked about supporting the initiative of the school rationalization and the realignment program and their support in this regard also. Looking at the strategic transformation initiatives and broad stakeholder ownership and careful change management. This is what the Office of the Premier emphasized on that one. This is exactly what we achieved from this summit also. Then the HOD's presentation also talked about the equity and efficiency through to achieve that is the rationalization and realignment is important. Then the prioritization and phase implementation, collaboration and accountability. Then those are the issues HOD's presentation also looked into. It's not about the number of schools we are closing. It's about improving the quality of teaching and learning. That's the most important one, to build a better future for South African citizens. So that is what the essence in this presentation. Also the DBE, their support also looked into the rationalization program. Then also the transformation, learner-focused reform. Colleagues, all what we are doing here is to look into the learner-focused reform that is improving the quality of education in Eastern Cape. Then the circuit landscape management plan, colleagues, we have seen that that is a 2017-2018. So we will look into that one. There were recommendations in this regard, so we'll look into that one also. So there we are looking at the strategic alignment, consolidation of small misaligned schools, provision of critical enablers like scholar transport, infrastructure, hostel provisioning, and stakeholder participation. That is what we were focusing in this regard. So the message of support from all the stakeholders actually is supported, and the message was to improve the quality of education through this process, and they are supporting this also in this regard. Then also the key commissions, colleagues, we have seen that what are the recommendations from all 7 commissions, and that is also captured here, colleagues. So I'm not going to repeat that. Also we have taken care of from all the commissions, and all the commissions actually given us the recommendation which can improve the rationalization and realignment program in the province. From this summit, where are we going to? So the next step is developing a comprehensive summit report incorporating the following key actions and activities with the timelines. Adopt the program of action. So from the recommendation, we are going to adopt a program of action and also empower departmental managers. That is also another key recommendation, which we have seen that the circuit managers and the district officials needed the capacitation, which we are going to embark on that, and also the resource optimization, which is also looking at. Then develop the management recovery plan. So prepared a detailed recovery plan informed by the circuit school landscape plan, the scholar transport plan, human resource plan, hostel master plan, and infrastructure plan to guide the implementation of school rationalization and realignment program in the province. Also looking at the strengthening the stakeholder partnership, which we have seen in the summit. The partnership is really working and strengthening to improve on our operations. And also the access the second school landscape plan, review the current implementation, highlight opportunities, challenges, and success, and integrate findings into the broader program. It's not only the CSLP is going to be reviewed, we look into the SOP, and we look into the guideline also to review to accommodate the current situation of the Eastern Cape now. Also, they engage the stakeholders in dialogue. Without the stakeholders' support, colleagues, we won't move. We have seen that. So that is another key next step which we are taking. Facilitate outcome-based discussions with the departmental officials, SGBs, district education forums, and all other stakeholders to define participation and support strategies. And also next, looking at define roles and of chief directorates and clearly outline the responsibilities for post-closure, merger, realignment processes to ensure their accountability. Develop the capacity building framework that is also looking at so that we can progress well with the rationalization program. Identify critical enablers. We have seen that what are the enablers here, that is the scholar transport, hostel facilities, infrastructure needed to support the program. Develop action plan and monitoring mechanism. We have to develop the action plan based on the recommendation and resolutions from these commissions and from the summit with the clear time frame, and also not only developing and implementing, then monitoring the implementation thereof. So those are the summary of what we call that is what we want. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sir Jay, for Umkombandlela, which is so clear. Colleagues, I think that what Mr. Joseph has done has taken 50% of the responsibility that I was given in terms of winding up the session. All what remains for me, perhaps I think it's just proper that we should, on behalf of the department, express our sincere gratitude to everyone who has made this. I think I may say it without any fear of contradiction. This is yet one of the most successful engagements that the department for this year has had. For that, we are so humbled as the branch, and so thankful first to the leadership of the department, the MEC, and the head of this department for allowing the branch to organize and facilitate an undertaking of this nature. We are not taking this opportunity as a branch for granted. So can we give the leadership of the department a very big round of applause. But colleagues, it is also true that this level of participation, of commitment, just by all the branches of the department, the branch heads, the chief directors, the directors, and most of the managers from each branch. DDG SCOMO has been here playing a very active role. DDG Finance, CFO, together with chief directors from that CFO branch, DDG Lutuli was here but even in his absence, we have felt the presence and participation of corporate services. And IOM, obviously, as the host, have been here in numbers. You may have witnessed the sound, the chorus that was led here by branch IOM. I noted a number of sopranos from that branch. I saw very few from other branches. So to our sister branches, thank you so much, because it then demonstrates the importance of this exercise. It can't be located to any particular branch. This is about shaking the whole department. As you may have listened even to the resolutions, everyone here have got a package of responsibilities that as we go back, we must actually go and rethink about. So a very big round of applause to all our branches. Colleagues, it's never easy to plan and prepare and organize a session of this nature. You get calls, and in fact, the enthusiasm started at that point by the amount of interest that even as we were coming here was shown by the calls, the emails, just from anyone. Some representing their unions, some their branches, some themselves, to claim that I do have a stake. And if it was not for the organizers, Sergey, if I may ask you to stand. Papa Mafenyana, can I ask you colleagues just to stand up? Annelisa, Zapekalwan. Annelisa, please come here. The bells, the office of the head of department, our communications, where is Lali? Have they gone already? Mr. Vazi, communications, please come closer. Mr. Vazi, where are you? Whom am I leaving out? Commission Secretariat. Nozi, please come here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not an overstatement to say that had it not been for the patience of these colleagues, at times you could see that they want to give up, because there's a lot of pressure of many other things that are taking place in the department that they need to pay attention to. But they were able to produce this quality of work. And together with them, I cannot, our PSU, Mfundis, together with Shanazan and the team. Mfundis, if you can just Sokopo, please. Kaupagame. Piwo Kusle, where's Piwo Kusle? Man, if it was not for the support that we have been receiving, that we shall still continue to receive from these colleagues. Colleagues, my sincere appreciation for the work that we have done. Thank you so much for being the people that you are. Thank you so much, colleagues. To our stakeholders, I have always been part of the department for quite some time now. As you can see, upaye beka wafuna uninhluvisa uba sibunga kanani na. And I didn't understand upaye utisaphi kulento yabo. But in very few engagements that we have had very robust, professional, independent, and objective input than what we had received from our stakeholders. They came here in numbers, stayed here with all of us, made sure, and the senior leadership of the stakeholders, your SATU was here, your city, you, city, your ATU, ICAC was here, Prof. Where are you, Prof? Okay. And FETSAS was here, NASJIP was here, they're also here. To all of you colleagues, thank you so much for the support and your constructive, because it really helps us to think about what we are doing. Thank you so much, colleagues. Give them a very big round of applause, colleagues. Colleagues, you heard our other partners, your DBE, yesterday, their input, the Office of the Premier, what they actually, the valuable input that they made in their absentia, because I can no longer see the Office of the Premier, and I know that the colleague from DBE would have left already because it is Friday. So give them a very big round of applause. And the last but not the least, Prof, you know that when we started this engagement with you, which was around beginning of this week, you are not even in the country. And we spoke for the first time about this subject, and you confessed that I'm not coming from the space, but I do have some insights to share. You have not disappointed us, Prof. Thank you so much. What I like with them is a commitment that even after this session, we shall still be going along, taking us through for the next 2 months. Am I right, Prof? So please, please do stick to that commitment. So can we give our Prof a very big round of applause? But colleagues, to all of us, thank you so much. I think that we all have jointly and collectively made it. I have no doubt, if I may assess ourselves, I think that we have actually done very well. At least we do have a slate to go and show to the head of department, oh man, this indeed was not a fruitless. CFO, you were here for yourself. So if it is a fruitless expenditure, you would have contributed to it becoming a fruitless. So to all of us colleagues, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. A very big round of applause to all of us. Thank you so much, and back to you, Skobo.
Colleagues, we'll then ask Umamukesa Sicwelele Ndlela Bethune. This is the end of the discussion of the summit. We will get a feedback in the next 14 days in terms of the key recommendations from this gathering. Then it will be circulated to all of you. The branch IOM will then further give notice of further actions that will accrue from this process. Can I ask Mamukesa to come forward?
Iqondiso zezwi uThixo wedwa. There is no one else other than you. You are God that has created heaven and earth. We are the people and we breathe in and out because you allow us to do so. Lord, you have chosen us all over South Africa and all over Eastern Cape to be here. We are so grateful that we have been given a privilege to discuss a child of the Eastern Cape. Thank you so much for giving us wisdom to discuss and come up with recommendation and suggestion for Department of Education. This has been a deliberations that we have been wanting to do this, and this has been something that has came through today. We are grateful to you, Lord, that now you have allowed us to do that. Lord, as we have taken these discussions and these resolutions, we cannot do anything without you helping us to implement these recommendations. Lithi izwi lakho sonke isipho esihle sisuka ngasentla ukuze ngabikho nomnye umuntu ozigwagwisayo ngayo lonto inhle yenzekileyo. Lento yanamhlanje Nkosi yami sinika uzuko kuwe nembeko ngoba unguThixo wobomi. As abantu bakho bejika Nkosi yami bebuyele emakhaya, I spill the blood of Jesus Christ endleleni that bazawuhamba be protected, bayofika emakhaya be protected ngegama lika Yesu Kristu. Lord, that bezile kule ndawo bezele ukuzodiscussa not izinto zezindlu zabo kodwa izinto ze Department of Education. Let us, because of that, get a reward, Lord Almighty. All this we ask in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, and by the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Colleagues, can we just one reminder, those who are traveling very far, we've made arrangement for a stay over tonight. Don't take the risk of driving at night. Seva, ningagoduka ke bye bye.